Throughout the whole internet, there are so many different platformer games that somebody can check out. And most of the times, these games are mostly focused on being platformer games. And those games usually have always been platformer games. However, in the case of Geometry Dash, things have not been the same with any other platformer game. And the reason for that being, Geometry Dash has always been a game about clicking one single button. You're in a level, you scroll your way to the right while you play as this icon, and you just click one single button, and that's it. There is no left-right movement, the camera is moving on its own, and you just have to control this single player. Well, sometimes even double player, but that's besides the point. And that was pretty much it. Like, that was Geometry Dash. That was what Geometry Dash was known for. Well, how long did it take you to beat this level? Well, this question doesn't really make that much sense because this level has a set time. You can't really speedrun this game. You can't do any of this stuff. Like, you are limited to only one single click, which might actually be the reason why Geometry Dash was so successful in the first place, because it's such a unique idea and can lead to some insane difficulty levels within it. But what would happen if such a game that is all based on clicking one single button, it's all based on that and has always been like that, what would happen if all of a sudden a switch comes and a new mode is added into this game? A mode that allows you to stay still forever. You don't really have to do anything, or you can jump, you can go right, you can go left, you can control where you want to go. And with that, a lot of opportunities came. You can now finally speedrun a level. You can, if you're in a hurry, you can just stay here and go do your thing and then come back. Whereas with levels like the classic ones, you are in an attempt. There is no pauses, there is no breaks. For a matter of 1 to 2 minutes, you're gonna have to stay fully focused with absolutely no mistakes being made. If you manage to do it, you get through the level and get your promised reward. But platformer mode that came with update 2.2 was actually one of the things that took the longest to develop. Imagine a game like Geometry Dash that is fully based on clicking one single button. It is all about that. Finally receives an update after 7 years of waiting, and then a new game mode gets added into this game, which kind of changes the way people view Geometry Dash. Because right now it's no longer that game that only allows you to click one button. Well, it's that plus platformer levels, so it's kind of a mess. You can't really explain what GD is with simple terms, as you used to be able to before the platformer mode was added. And one thing that concerns me the most is that platformer mode took the longest to develop, and was it really a good idea to have platformer mode included into Geometry Dash? Now, many of the people that play Geometry Dash play it for the reason that it's just a one-click button. You know, you can go full focus mode and remove all distractions and focus on your 1 minute to make sure you pull through this insanely hard level, and that attracted a lot of people. But some people also like platformers, so adding platformers was definitely a good idea in that term. Imagine if your favorite game that you were playing for so long finally adds a game mode that you are really excited about. One of your favorite game modes gets added to your favorite game. It's like the best combo ever. So in those terms, platformer mode was actually not a bad thing. And other than that, platformer mode also opens a wide new door for you, because there are many more buttons that you have to click, and with that comes a ton of new mechanics that you can do, and it's just the variety that you have has been expanded so much that just by adding this new game mode, it attracted so many new players into this game. Every single person that thought Geometry Dash was that one-click button, but was personally interested in platformer games, is now all of a sudden interested in Geometry Dash, because guess what? Geometry Dash is now a platformer game as well. And what I mean by that is that you can play platformer levels in it, and it's not just platform type game, right? So with the addition of the platformer mode, it is very, very important to note that we got a very big wave of new players that are interested in platformer mode specifically. So yeah, in that terms, we also have another plus for platformer mode, because it attracted a lot more people into the game. And other than that, it also kind of, you can say, split the community in two parts, where the first part is focused on making platformer levels and the second part is more focused on making classic levels. So it kind of depends on what other people's interests are. But those are the good things that came with Geometry Dash's new edition called the platformer mode. But I also kind of feel like the addition of platformer mode might not have been the best. And the reason for that is because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Geometry Dash is a game about clicking one single click. So this whole idea of GD being specifically a game about a rhythm-based levels where you have to click one thing, this whole factor is completely gone from the title of Geometry Dash. I mean, there are still these types of levels and you can still create them and publish them and share it with your friends and all, but you can't categorize Geometry Dash as this one single button click rhythm game. Like, that's not how it works, because with the addition of platformer mode, now we have two different types of levels. So I can see why perhaps some people that you really loved this idea of GD being the one-click button game got all of a sudden changed into this platformer game. So that was definitely a minus point when it comes to platformer mode. Another thing that platformer mode did to Geometry Dash, I feel like, is it kind of divided the community in, you can say, a bad way, not really too bad, but, you know, in not a way too positive way, I want to say. So now some people that like the classic levels more than platformer levels might just see themselves in a separate part of the community, as opposed to those who like platformer levels more than classic levels. And I personally am a person that enjoys both modes really, really much. And I'm a person that has always liked this idea of Geometry Dash being a classic game where it's a rhythm game with one single button. But the idea of a platformer mode getting added into that was something that I never really had anything against. But I understood that it could kind of make GD look like a different game now. And honestly, seeing what RobTop has said about platformer mode before 2.2 got released is kind of worrying, I must say. He said multiple times that he's trying to focus a lot on platformer mode and see if people like it or not. So our opinions right now count a lot and might shift the direction in which Geometry Dash's future gets shifted into based on what we say. Because RobTop has a lot of ideas for this new game mode that he added, the platformer mode. He has talked countless times about how many new features he has in his mind that he would like to add into platformer mode. That includes new enemies, new mechanics to make creating easier, and pretty much anything you can think about. But you can kind of see the problem here. If he gets to focus too much on platformer mode, then all of a sudden this whole idea of GD being a rhythm game is just going to be wiped out entirely, because if RobTop completely focuses on platformer mode, it's going to be Jover. But from what I heard, he's going to have to see what the community thinks and build Geometry Dash Update 2.3 according to our thoughts. And honestly, I am kind of neutral on this situation. I like to have more platformer levels. I kind of want him to focus on both of them. I want to have more platform levels and I also want to have more classic levels. So kind of finding a midline or a safe spot between these two game modes is going to be very, very difficult. And so as a result, this is going to have a big impact on on the future of GD. And it's honestly kind of worrying to see this game that has always been about this one thing all of a sudden getting switched into a different thing. Because maybe Geometry Dash was just successful because of that factor, and then removing that is basically killing the game. And I kind of feel like right now we are in a situation where we're in the deciding situation, like we're about to decide where Geometry Dash's future will end up, whether it will be a disaster because platformer mode got added, or if it will open up a new completely beautiful branch that we can enter into that is called the platformer mode. This is something that I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on after I told you guys the points that I have, and I would also love to hear what you guys think, what other issues might arise with the platformer mode and the addition of it after it being one of the most time-consuming features to develop. So yeah, in conclusion, I believe the state that Geometry Dash is in right now is not a bad one, but I believe that the interest in platformer levels has not been as much as RobTop expected it to be, and we can clearly see that from how many rated platformer levels we have. And now you may say, well, that's because there are not really many good platformer levels yet. Maybe people have not really gotten used to making good platformer levels, and to that I disagree, and RobTop does as well, and that is because he specifically said that there are simply not many good platformer levels coming out. Like, there are no people building that many platformer levels as opposed to classic levels. And this is very visible. If we simply click on the recent tab, we can see a long level, a classic level, and then a platformer level, and then a classic, 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 classic. So in a group of 10 levels, there was one platformer level and the rest was all classic levels. So is it just that we haven't really gotten used into making platformer levels? Is it that people don't know how to make these levels? Or what exactly is the issue? I believe it is very important to identify the issues and that we know how to move forward. Do we like platformer mode? Do you guys like it? I personally love it, but let's not make sure that it doesn't take the focus too much away from what Geometry Dash initially was supposed to be. So don't forget to slap that like, and I will see you guys in the next video.